Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 193 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Franki Moscato. She's a singer, songwriter, national speaker, actress, whole bunch of stuff that we can talk about on the podcast. And before I forget, I want to mention that if you're interested in speaking with Franki, you can get in contact with her through the Catholic Speakers Organization at catholicspeakersorganization.com. They also have a whole bunch of other speakers on there, former athletes, actresses, musicians, national speakers, whole works. You can get in contact on there. But I'm happy to have Franki here. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing better than I deserve, Alex.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
So what is this? This is the 194th episode?
93, 193.
What an honor.
I know. I'm getting close to 200. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I feel like somebody told me there was a statistic once that most podcasts don't make it through like the first 10 episodes. They either like just give up or whatever reason, they just don't make it.
Is
And
that true? Oh,
I don't know.
well, good for you. Good for
I
you.
guess there's so many people who try podcasts. They're like, "Oh, it's easy. I'll just do a podcast. Can't be that hard." But like there's I don't know, you have to really enjoy it, which I do, because you have to put in so much time to find the guests. That's the hardest thing I found. Getting in contact with people, trying to match up schedules. It's you know,
Yeah, everybody would be doing it if it were easy. Yeah,
right.
to keep it sustainable. I mean that's a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have a hobby, right? I guess this is my biggest hobby.
You gotta just be the right person. You're the right person, Alex.
I guess so. I guess so. Well, let's start kind of talking about your journey. At what age, like, were you really starting to get interested in music? I mean, did you like band and choir and stuff as a kid, or how did you get into music?
I just got into music because I was just saving money for college. I really, I really like to sing, but I definitely was. I did not think I was good at all at singing. But I thought people are giving me tips. I think because I was just a little girl that was, I guess, confident enough to take out a huge speaker and a keyboard and a mic and sing on the side of the street during farmers market. People were really generous. I actually saved up for my entire college, 4 years of college from just my whole childhood of singing for tips. It was really people. My whole community was very generous.
Wow, that's the way to do it, right?
Yes, yes.
No,
I was about 11 when I started doing that. Yeah,
yeah,
to answer the question.
that is interesting, huh? Farmers market, saving up for college. That's well, I feel like most kids don't save for college to begin with. So I mean, you started off better there. Like I know a lot of my friends did not. I had a college savings account growing up. My parents made me put birthday money in there. Like you got to put half your birthday money in your college savings, and so I think a lot of kids don't do that. But props to you for singing and paying for your whole college all in one go.
Oh, well, thank you. I'd say I was always just kind of a nerd in school. I always put first. And I was probably kind of annoying because, like, I remember in kindergarten just begging the teachers I wanted homework to feel like a high schooler. So they would actually write up homework just for me.
That's
uh,
funny.
yeah, yeah, education.
Were you one of the kids that like if the teacher forgot about a quiz, you'd raise your hand and be like, "Hey, well, what about that quiz we were supposed to take today?"
Absolutely.
I feel like I would do that sometimes too, but it was more of like a guilty conscience for me. I felt like it's wrong. I know we're supposed to have a quiz, but I feel like I have to say something.
It's a blessing and a curse that we're like that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So at what point did you then start to take music seriously?
The point I started to take it seriously was probably when, well, for school, I wanted to go into medical schooling. I wanted to get a good education and become a doctor for children. So I would actually volunteer directly in the hospital throughout high school. Um, And so I would wheel people around in their wheelchairs and do handle phone calls and just help out, kind of be like a little volunteer assistant for the doctors and nurses, and I would also on the side kind of fiddle around on the piano in like the pediatric center. So I would hope that some of the kids would hear me. And I'll never forget when a doctor came over and encouraged me. He was like, Frankie, there is a way to save lives just like a doctor if you were a singer. And so he encouraged me to stay into music. And I thought, I never thought a doctor would tell me to not be a doctor. Um, so that was kind of that the day that my direction completely changed.
It's a pretty big compliment, right? I mean, knowing that you're in medical school, he says, "Hey, I think you should stick with singing because you can do a lot of good." I mean, that's a really awesome compliment to hear.
It was very humbling. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful I was so focused on education because it led me to here. So,
right.
yes.
Well, I mean, it's corny to say, but it's education is super important. No matter what you're doing, I feel like a lot of kids, it's like, well, I'm gonna play sports, and like sports are my thing, and that's great. Sports can be your thing, but sports can't last forever. Even if you make it to Division 1 and you make it to the pros and you make it all these spots, you can't do it forever. Your body can't last up. If you're a musician, like that's got a band and you're touring, oftentimes you don't do that forever either. I feel like all the people we listen to, all the people we see are kind of they're rarities, right? You have to have an education to be able to do other things. And even if that musician, life is what you do forever, there's so much business side of it that you have to be educated to know you're not getting screwed over by a record deal, or you're not, there's so much in life that's important. You have to be educated. You have to take your grades seriously. You have to, you don't have to go to college. You go to trade school. There's so many things you can do. I feel like that's another misconception.
Oh, absolutely. And so here I'm at the hospital and the doctor's saying go into music. So then I thought, okay, well, great. So I'll go to school for music. And then so I went to my vocal coach in Nashville and I said, I'm going to go to school for music now. And he said, no, don't go to school for music. You should go get a degree in business. I'm like, what? Okay. So then I was redirected that way. And I'm so grateful that I was everything that you're saying. Music, everything is business, and God gives us money as a tool. I mean, we need to be good at handling it
Right.
because we're here to work. Leisure is important, but we're here to get the job done, and we need
Well,
our education.
especially when you're younger. You mentioned handling money. It's so much harder when you're younger, right? You're not matured yet. You just like, oh, I want to spend my money on all this fun stuff. I have money, like, I think of college athletics now. All these kids getting NIL money. They're so young, right? You're 18 years old and you just got $1 million. Like, oh boy. How do you manage that?
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. And I remember it was just very funny and humbling after a farmer's market. I mean, we really came home with buckets of money. And it like I had a milk jug from a farm that was huge. It was red and we painted college on it. And we would just pour it out at the end of the day with my dad. And but he would make sure we count it all, put it in the bank, put it in the savings. I was never allowed to spend it, and I'm glad that I wasn't.
Were you over there sneaking like a $10 bill out and sliding in your pocket or
Well, there were moments where dad would say, Frankie, here, take a $10 bill. So
go get
it
some
was
ice cream?
the allowance for my payment, I would say.
But it was worth it in the end, right? I mean, I feel like as a kid, you're like, oh, like that's my money. I want to spend it. But when you get through college, all paid for. I mean, that's huge.
It is huge. It is huge. Looking back, I'm so grateful to just keep moving forward. I finished college and now I can keep walking and no debts. All thanks to the generosity of my community and yeah, focusing, just keeping moving forward.
Yeah. So I mean, your music career, you've done a lot of different things. You've performed national anthems at a lot of big locations. You've performed with big artists. You've performed with Riley Green and Charlie Berens and numerous other people. I have to say, Charlie Berens, I love. He's hilarious. He is so funny. He is awesome.
He's great. I've never seen him not in that character, even just one on one.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just
awesome.
doesn't let his hair down. He's
Yeah,
great.
I saw him. He came up our way and he did a show, I don't know, this 2 years ago, a year ago, and yeah, he was great. I mean, I love looking at his Instagram, all of his little skits he has on there. They're because they're so realistic. They're so true. I feel like some comedians it's just such nonsense where it's like, okay, you're getting a little out there, pal, but Charlie's, his Midwest humor, it's like if you're from the Midwest, like that's exactly how it is.
Yeah, and it makes you pretty proud to be from the Midwest too. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's really put us on the map. I like that.
Oh, for sure. So what did you do with Charlie?
Well, I was singing at a car festival, the Iola Car Fest, in Iola, Wisconsin, and there's like 200,000 people, all super fans of cars, and um, really, really just a funny, funny event to go to, and really incredible. I encourage anybody listening, like you should go check it out if you're ever in Wisconsin. But it goes on usually in July for a whole week. And so I was there singing about like a 90-minute set. And they just asked me right beforehand, they said, "Hey, Charlie Berens is here. Would you mind if he came on stage with you?" And I said, "What?" Uh, and so he was like escorted by, it sounds crazy, but like hundreds of police officers and like all this law enforcement. And I think it was just to draw attention. And so it ended up being just like a really patriotic thing. He comes on stage, and not only was I singing and playing while he was on there with me, but there were also hundreds of police officers on stage with me too. And they were just like clapping, and it was just a grand time.
That's cool. That's probably something you won't forget.
Oh, I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, what a way to make an entrance, eh?
Oh, yeah, right away. Yes, and I've always had such a love for law enforcement, and that's really where I ended up pouring so much focus into singing the national anthem when I was little. And so I would actually tour for a few years with my local veterans, and that really got my foot into the door with music, and kind of my name going through the grapevine and getting other gigs was just being the little national anthem singer. Still at that point, I wasn't really that good, but I was just a little elementary kid, so I guess that brings attention.
Yeah.
He was
It
an
always
honor. He was
helps.
sing for my country. Yes.
Yeah, it always helps when you're younger, right? Kids are just cute. People are like, "Oh, they're cute."
You can screw up all you want. Yes.
But I totally agree. Law enforcement, first responders, veterans, like they can't get enough support and thanks. And I mean, they do so many selfless acts for a living, right? I mean, like that's what they do. They go to work every day and they do selfless acts, not for the glory, not for the newsreel or not for any of that. It's because they're good people who want to help other people, right? They're away from their families. They're working night shifts. If you're on deployment, you're gone for months on end overseas or wherever you're stationed. I mean, selfless sacrifices that most of us regular everyday people just can't understand.
Oh, absolutely. They're a really powerful witness of humility, just simple humility. And that's how we get to pleasing God. It's like we're always, well, me especially, it's like focusing too much on performance. We just have to seek God, and we have to focus on humility and just focus on knowing Him more, and serving our neighbors. Um, but yeah, it's amazing. I've met so many veterans. You know, they're so patriotic, but the root of their patriotism is that they love God first before their country. And so that taught me a lot about singing, and singing the national anthem is, I have to remember, like if I'm singing at a Packer game or a Brewers game, you know, before I'm singing for this audience or even for my country and for my veterans, I have to sing for God first, because you can't love anybody if you don't love God first, and let alone sing for anybody. But yes, the military has really shaped my perspective and point of view in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, that's the foundation. God is the foundation. He has to be for like everything you do in your life. Your relationships aren't going to be as strong if you don't have faith. You'll do better at your job. You'll do better with everything as long as you're grounded and you've got that good foundation. I mean, God first, family second, and then everything else falls in line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything needs to be a prayer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially nowadays there's so much negativity and so many people are just I think negativity is just there's so many glass half empty people you can go on a big stage and you can say, well, there's all these problems in the world, but why don't we look at a little stage, like just your everyday life, going to work, like you know and I am a victim of this too, right? You're in the car and there's traffic or somebody cuts you off, and now all of a sudden you're all crabby and your whole day is ruined because that person cut you off. I mean, it's like not everything is that horrible. You have to be optimistic. You have to have this good outlook. You have to be kind. I mean, it's really simple, but for some reason, as humans, we struggle with it.
Oh, we do. We do. Kids, I believe kids struggle with it the most because we're so underdeveloped in our brains. Like, even I'm still underdeveloped. I'm not 25 yet, and like that's usually the mark of we make our decisions based on our emotions, and our emotions are always saying like this is never going to get better. So that's why we're just seeing so many teen suicide rates rising, because social media is telling us that things aren't getting better. But through the pain that I've gone through growing up and getting bullied in school, or we all go through dark seasons. But I've learned that like one spark of hope is what you're saying. It's like just one spark of it can save a life. It can change everything. Um, and and that's what I talk about when I go speak for principals, or I'll do speeches for adults, and I talk about how important it is to lead with hope and show kids a good example. Regardless of like whatever chaos happens in our lives, kids are watching how we react to things, and um, you know just a little bit of hope can make a big difference for a child.
Oh, and it could be the smallest things, like if you're at the grocery store and the person checking you out says like, have a nice day, you should say thank you, you too, or just simple
Mhm.
courtesies that maybe you're the only person that says that to them all day, and that might mean something to you. Just little compliment somebody. If you notice that your waiter, I don't know, like, or once we were at Applebee's and my wife commented on the waitress's nails. And you could tell she like lit up. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I made them, I did them myself." And you could tell she was so happy. Just that small little comment, "Hey, I like your nails," could brighten that person's day, right? You don't know what's going on at home. They might have and that's the one thing they remember out of the day is, hey, this person said something really kind to me, and that could all be, that keeps them going.
Oh my gosh. And that also keeps you going too. It's like
Yeah.
it's lasting happiness for both parties. And there's been so many times where I would go to my parents growing up, and I would tell my dad, I really loved what my coach said to me today. And I never once thought about actually telling him that, but my dad would say, "Well, why don't you tell him? Why don't you tell him what you just told me?" It's like, why did I not tell him that? Or, and or like it's like, I love that girl's hair. That's like the best hair I've ever seen in my life. And it's like, well, then tell her that. Tell people. If you're thinking something positive, it needs to be shared. It cannot be kept to yourself.
Yeah, we all share the negative things. We have no problem with that. Right? Like, why hold in the positive stuff? Compliment people, be kind, and just, I don't know, be optimistic. Not everything is horrible. Not everything is dark and terrible. Like, there's evil in this world, but the good will always win. Like God's always gonna win. The devil's, he'll try all of his little tricks and he'll try to poke at you, but he'll never be truly victorious. And And I mean, there's so many corny, but movies, right? Like Star Wars and this fight of good versus evil and good prevails. But I mean, it's true. It's this dark versus light. And I feel like as humans, sometimes we lean into the dark a little too much. Um, so, and I feel like people also think that whatever I'm doing in my little life won't have an impact on the world. But I think that's the wrong viewpoint. Like if everybody started to be kind, then it would ripple out to the whole world. You know, if everybody made an effort, it would.
Yeah. Yeah, it ripples out into eternity, and you will be rewarded for it in heaven ultimately. Yes, we
Yeah.
we have to always have that mindset. Yeah. How will this affect my sanctification? Is this going to bless my relationship with God or not? Yeah. Yeah, is this really good? And I just, like I just heard a reminder the other day. It's like somebody makes you mad, like you were saying, on the road or in person, like somebody really ticks you off. They said something maybe a little stupid or something. Um you go to God and tell him what they did, and then just stop there. And you don't have to go to that person and confront them. You can just go to God, and you usually will feel better.
Yeah.
Your anger will diminish. At least it does for me. It's like just go to God first before you do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. We needed it's hard. But it's something to like keep work like hand your stresses, hand your anxieties, hand it all over to God. And he doesn't want us to be miserable people in life. Like he doesn't want us to be weighed down with all this extra junk that's just making us feel, bad. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to thrive. He wants us to help other people, and we can't do that if we've got all this extra junk on our shoulders. So we have to try our hardest, even though it's easy. We as humans we think like, oh, I can do everything. No, no, hand it over to God. Let Him help you. It's a
Yes,
corny saying, but Jesus take the wheel, right? Like, yeah,
yes. And God always blesses us when we're praying. He always blesses us, even if we don't feel it. But He will show us um, that our problems are a lot smaller than they seem. He always shows us that, and sometimes it starts with, first he'll cry with us, and but then he's going to show us that this is a much smaller problem in a much bigger story.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Let's talk about a few other things that you've done that are kind of exciting. You mentioned national anthems. You were saying Packer games, Brewers games. You've performed national anthems at a lot of very large. I mean, the Lambeau Field would be one of the probably the most energetic and like sporting events, places in the entire country. You've performed national anthems at the White House, which is just incredible. I can't even imagine. I feel like the nerves had to be flowing for some of do you get nervous before you do these, national anthems, in front of 100,000 people and you know that if you're doing a Packer game there's more people watching on TV at home or
Well, um, you know, I used to get nervous. I would say after I grew up singing the national anthem, and that was really the only thing I did. And the only thing I did was it was performing music. But then I learned how to sing in mass. Like I learned reverence um, and honestly, mass is my favorite. Mass is my favorite stage. It's like holy mass. It's Jesus, and it's the biggest honor in the world. So I would probably say that nowadays I get more nervous to sing for Holy Catholic Mass than singing for 60,000 people in a Packer stadium. It just seems like such a bigger honor to sing in Mass. So with that mindset, yeah, I'm able to focus on Christ as long as you make, like we said before, as long as you make your music a prayer, and you just focus on your one audience member. That's the most important. Um, the nerves just go away. It just doesn't matter. The audience impressing anybody does not matter anymore. I do trip and I mess up. Like I will sometimes be too focused on the performance, and I can hear it in my voice that I'm not as I don't do as well when I'm focused on the wrong thing. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
feel like in life, that's like just good advice, right? Like when you're not focused on the Lord, you can kind of just tell like things, you kind of stray away for a little bit, and it's a little bit rougher. I mean, you're more like you said, centered and grounded, and when you've got that focus, everything's smoother. And
Everything is smoother, yes, and your gifts like truly flow so naturally out of you. And I like the Bible is literally the greatest vocal coach in the world. It's just the greatest. It's like I there's a part where Moses says that he can't speak, and then God's like, I will be with your mouth, in Exodus. And so that's the prayer I make before I sing anything. It's like, God, be my mouth. I literally, I can't do this without you. I'm so weak. So please be my voice. And so when I depend on him, that takes our nerves away
yeah.
and gives us.
And it's so important to recognize that, like what you said, I can't do this without you. And I think we've come to a point, we're seeing more professional athletes who are coming out and saying that, like I can't, they're giving all the glory to God. God's the one who gave me the ability to do this. He's given me all of this, and I think that's really awesome when that we're seeing that these high profile athletes who get so much media attention and they're looked up to by so many kids and adults, and they're coming out and they're speaking about their faith. I mean, it's so important, and it's just so wonderful to see, right? They're not being selfish. Yep, I did it all. It was all me. I'm great. I'm wonderful. I'm the greatest ever. And I think it's fantastic that we're seeing, and I feel like it's just been like the last couple of years. There were a couple athletes that started doing it, and now there's so many of them, and they've all also said like this is, football is not my life, but I can use my platform to spread the word of God. Like that's the most important thing. Now that I've gotten here, I'm gonna use this platform that I have for good.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, we're seeing a huge revolution. It's amazing. I think this is like our millennials and our Gen Zs. These are the best generations I think we've ever had. A lot of people say things like, "Oh, I don't want to have a kid in this generation." It's just not true. I think we are seeing things with the wrong lens. Everything you're saying um, is just wonderful. It's truth. This generation is really doing something special, something I've never seen. And I'd like to do a lot of study on generational change and teenagers throughout thousands of years. And we're seeing a lot of impact from social media, but who knows? Maybe God really is using it for good. We thought it was going to be bad, and there have been bad things that have happened, but maybe it's a part of this whole revolution. There's a lot of disciples on social media.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of negatives to social media for sure, but there's a lot of positives too. It's such a great way to get a message out to so many people, to have this platform and I mean, what's the best way if you want a million people to see something really quickly? Like post it on social media, get it out there. That's something that wasn't available, right, 50 years ago. How do you spread this message? And I feel like it's got to have an impact on people. If after an NFL game, CJ Stroud comes out there and he says, right, all glory to God. I think, like he comes out, he shares this message, and all of these people see it. It has to have an impact on somebody who maybe really wasn't that strong in their faith. It's got to.
Yeah, and because of social media, we have like the songs from the 70s that are suddenly going viral. And so, but that also means that we have like saints from you know years and years and thousands of years ago, who are also going viral right now. It's really everything. And so because of social media, we just have millions of kids who now know about certain saints and huge Catholic lessons and virtues. There's things I even learned that I give credit to social media, like, oh, That's really good. I get preached to all the time in the best way on social media.
I think the Saints thing is an interesting topic because I feel like most people just know like the base saints that kind of like everybody knows, but there's so many saints that have so many purposes and like you could be struggling with something and you don't know it, but like, hey, there's a saint you could pray to, and that's like that's their thing right there. Pray to them about that. I find myself praying to saints all the time about different things. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the saint, patron saint of mental health. I pray to patron saint of mental health all the time. Um, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's so many saints that can help you out in your life.
it's Saint Dimphna.
Yes, yes. I pray to Saint Dimphna all the time.
Oh, that's great, Alex. No, yeah, it's like I think we have the opportunity to make friends with saints. Wouldn't it just be so fun to just go to heaven and just like it's like a reunion? Like you get to meet your best friends. Like I'm so glad you became my friend when I was on Earth. Like you want to be our friend.
Yeah. I have or I had, he passed away a few years ago, but I had an uncle that was a priest. And he said that he was on a first name basis with his guardian angel, that he would talk to his guardian angel and they'd pray together. And, I can't remember what he was, but he kind of said there was like a regiment of prayer. He was like, if you say these prayers every day, like you can become close with your guardian angel. And I wish I could remember like what he said to pray every single day. But he said he was close to his guardian angel, had conversations with him, sitting in his bed, talked to his guardian angel. There's so many powerful stories out there. He told a story once about his car was like stuck in a snowbank, and he said somebody just appeared and helped push him out, and then that person was gone. They helped him, and they were gone. Those kind of stories give you chills to think about that kind of stuff. But there's so many miracles, with guardian angels and saints, and it's all good stuff.
Oh, it's amazing. They appear to us more than we realize, in very simple ways. And I think it's like the way that Jesus came was just so crazy, just in a barn, like just so unexpected. That's just the way he works. So I have no doubt that angels appear in people who we can't stand sometimes, or like you would just never guess what the what. But I just start to wonder. It's like, huh? I wonder if there was an angel in that person, or that driver that made me mad, or something. I truly believe it.
Have you ever
They're
heard this? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
mm,
I was just gonna say, have you ever heard the song, "The Christmas Guest"? I think it's called "The Christmas Guest." It's a Johnny Cash song.
oh, I love him. No, I have not heard. I'm not.
Oh,
Maybe
what I have to. Is that what it's called? Is the Christmas Guest? It's this whole. I'm trying to remember now exactly how it goes, but I think this person they might be widowed, or like his wife has passed away and he's kind of alone at Christmas, and he's expecting he's expecting the Lord to come. And throughout the night, people keep coming to the door. It's a kid that's lost, somebody who needs some warm soup. Like there's these different things. And at the end of the night, he's like, Lord, why didn't you come? And he's like, I did come. I came in like these three different ways. It's a wonderful, wonderful song, a wonderful Johnny Cash song. You have to look it up. I think it's called The Christmas Guest.
Oh, that's just so wonderful. No, I don't think I've heard that. I listen to a lot of Johnny Cash songs, but he writes some really like killer Christian songs. I mean, they really are Catholic. They're just so stinking good. But unfortunately, I know probably more of his like prison songs.
Yeah.
Call love, you but yeah, he's a great writer. I'm sure angels were working through him too.
Well, actually, okay, so now I'm Googling it. It looks like it might have been a poem, and he covered it as a song.
Okay,
So
I have to listen to that. And it's called, so it's what is it called? Christmas.
the Christmas Guest.
All right.
Yeah, it's a poem, and yep, that's what it is. Huh, I guess I never knew it was a poem. I just listened to the Johnny Cash rendition, and it was wonderful. But it's a fantastic poem. And I
That's
think
wonderful.
it's you mentioned like angels coming and people that we would never expect, or like like the Lord can appear in so many different ways, and this poem does such a good job. This person is expecting Jesus to walk through his door and visit him on Christmas, but like Jesus appears in all of these different ways, and this guy helps all these people, and like that's just a it's just a perfect Christmas tale.
Oh, it's so perfect. Better God writes better than any Hollywood screenwriter because Hollywood movies, like everything's just full circle. You just expect the whole story, and you have all like these perfect fairy tales. But God is so unexpected, and he's just the most creative writer,
Yeah.
obviously, the king
And
of all stories.
and you don't get any better stories than the Bible stories. I mean,
Um,
talk about like incredible stories of, I mean, all kinds of miracles and overcoming this and overcoming that, and just, I mean, those are interesting stories, right? We talk about all these fan fiction, all this stuff that we love, and I'm not, obviously I love all that stuff, Star Wars, Harry Potter. Yeah, it's all great, but if you look in the Bible at some of the stories and some of the miracles and just the incredible things, that's where it's at. Every Easter, my family, we watch the Ten Commandments, and I just absolutely love that movie and the story, Moses and everything that he goes through and everything he does. I mean, you can't make up a better fictional story than that.
you just you can't, and it's the living word, and the stories. It's like it's just curated for your own life. It's amazing. Like billions of people reading. It's like written for them. It yeah, it's just like the stories change depending on whatever we're going through in our life. It's always just what we need to hear, and I need to take it more seriously sometimes. It's like my priest, Father Zach, is always reminding me, before you go to bed at night, don't fall asleep until you pick up your Bible. And he's like, and don't eat breakfast. No breakfast. No no Bible, no breakfast. That's what he says. If you didn't read the Bible, you're not allowed to eat. But obviously he doesn't he can't control us. But I love reminding myself that. It's like, sometimes it's crazy how much I pick up my phone in the morning before I pick up my Bible. Quite sad.
It's something
Working
we
on
can always work on.
yes.
Yeah, I fall victim to that too. It's like you'll get in a really good stretch. It's like, yeah, I read the Bible every day for a couple weeks, and then you just like somehow for some reason you break that good habit you had going there. But like you said, we never forget to pick up our phones. Gosh. If only we picked up our Bibles as much as we picked up our phones, the whole world would be a better place.
I know, wouldn't it? Kept it in our back pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody needs a pocket Bible and just carry it around. And when you want to
That is,
go for your phone, go for your pocket Bible.
yes. Go there first. Yeah. Before Google.
Yeah.
Google. Better than ChatGPT.
Yeah. Oh boy. So you mentioned it kind of already, mental health focus, and you have a foundation that you advocate for mental health and have this goal of helping people with mental health. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yes. I've had this foundation for a while. I have like just a wonderful team of volunteers who help me with it for years. They've been backing me, and we're always working on some big project. Right now, we have this commercial that we want to make. We want to make another public service announcement commercial for TV. We usually do one per year, to deglamorize suicide prevention. Just it's pretty dark usually, but it really focuses on getting people to talk about it at home, breaking that stigma. talking about it. And so I was like one day talking with my team, and I thought, what if we don't write the public service announcement this year? Like, what if we invite children to like have a contest, and they all try to write their own, and then we'll pick the best one. And um, it would just be like a wonderful way to even get parents involved with helping the kids craft this, but it just gets them talking about it. And so this is going to be running through November. Um, and we're asking for kids to submit a 1 minute video, and so then we're gonna have a whole panel of judges in November. If it's like bekindcontest.com, and so just write the best story that will help to fight teen suicide. So we're always working on a project, always trying to come up with creative solutions. Recently I was speaking at a prison to like hundreds of male inmates, and talking all about suicide prevention. And then the next day, I went to the Boys and Girls Club, and then I sang for the children. So it's like my mission is to go to both ends of the chain. It's like, I want to go where the pain starts, and then where the pain ends with the kids. So I do like to go to both sides, and I talk all about hopefulness. What we were saying is what we all need. It's the antidote.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not, like everybody needs help, right? Everybody's got something. It doesn't matter if you're a kid, if you're a grown adult. I like that you said that you go to both ends of the chain. You help, you want to help kids, you want to help adults, you want to help all these different people. It's so important. For so long, our society, we've had such a stigma around mental health, and it's really, really ridiculous when you think about it. I've talked to a lot of athletes who struggled with mental health issues when they were playing their professional sport. And one of them, he had a terrible traumatic tragedy when he was a young hockey player. And there wasn't, back in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't the resources to help athletes. So he kind of just had to deal with all of this trauma that he had. Just deal with it. And like everyone expected, oh, you're playing for the Detroit Red Wings. Like you should be happy. Like why aren't you happy? Like just deal with it, suck it up. And but now he has his own platform that he uses to spread mental health awareness, help people. But I just find it so nonsense that we had to come to this like big revelation within the last 10 years. Like, hey, this is important. Like it should have been important 30 years ago. Why is it just important now? It doesn't matter if you're an athlete, it doesn't matter if you're a guy, a girl, a kid, or an adult. Like it's okay to need help. It's all right to have a problem and to recognize that and to go to counseling, go to therapy, do whatever you need to better yourself. Like that shouldn't be a crutch. Like, hey, you should be able to tell your friend, hey, I'm going to therapy or counseling, and not feel like they look down on you for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame that I see when I go into schools. Um, and all of that builds up into lots of crummy things. It turns into a lot of bullying, and negativity at home makes the kids go to school and sometimes sadly bully other kids. And also, it's like sometimes we're just so desperate to fit in that we accidentally become the bully because of that. And when I go to kids, I not only talk about hopefulness and it's okay to ask for help, and um, but when I'm talking about bullying, I read the kids a letter that one of my former bullies wrote to me. Like years later, she actually apologized and wrote this really beautiful letter, and she was saying that she was just trying to belong in the crowd. And so when I read that to the kids, like it really, you can tell it hits home with them because they see themselves like on both sides of that story, like both sides. And um, it's amazing what people do to just try to fit in. It can get really bad. But I tell the kids, you know what goes on under the radar. You know who's hurting and who's not asking for help, but who needs help, and you know who the bullies are. you can be the one who notices and step in and get involved, and that changes everything. And one kind word could save a kid from depression, or something that could ripple into something even worse as they get older.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, especially with young kids. I feel like that whole piece of being afraid of what your friends will think of you. I mean, that's a hard hurdle to get over, right? Like as a society, it's been so ingrained that like if you need help, there's something wrong with you, that it's going to take some time to get through that. But that, we have to try even harder then. Like we just have to do whatever it takes. There's so many innocent lives, these poor kids that have struggled with bullying or whatever the mental health struggle is, that, like you mentioned, teen suicide rates. I mean, it's horrible. But social media, I mean, that's the negative side of social media right there. Bullying, online bullying, people being shamed for what they post or whatever it is. I mean, people make a fake account and then they attack you with that fake account, and it's really nasty. But that's why, I think it's awesome that you have a foundation. It's awesome that there's more, presentations in schools. There's more, and you have to do it the right way. I like what you said about um, how serious sometimes your commercials are. I mean, it can't be cheesy and fake. That doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to put our heads together and take it seriously. Um, and if you hear somebody just saying anything, hinting like I want to hurt myself, you have to take it seriously and call it all in, and call their coach, and call their mom, call their dad, and their best friends, and their siblings, everybody who knows them. Like, they're literally light up their entire phone book, because you got to create that. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth their life. It's This is their life that we're talking about, and you just kids who are talking about it, or adults, they're never faking it. You always just have to take it seriously, like it's a huge emergency. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I work at a high school, and I just went through a youth mental health training. And they talked about that, like recognizing a crisis versus a non-crisis situation in a kid, right? Looking, what are certain things you should look for? They had us practice different scenarios for all, various different things. Somebody who's suicidal, somebody who's not suicidal, but they're causing physical harm, somebody that might have some sort of an addiction problem, somebody that is being bullied. Like we went through so many different scenarios, and you kind of play through what you should do, how you should respond. We had like action plans, and it's really eye-opening to like go through, I think, a training like that. And I feel like everyone's always like, like, yeah, I want to help, but like you have to know how to help, one,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to look for these different signs. There's It would be the worst if you ignored a warning sign. I can't imagine how personally I would feel if you knew of something and you didn't say it, and then something bad happened. Like, just like you mentioned, if you see something, you have to say something about it.
Yes, you
It's
have
not
to
worth
say
the
so.
risk.
Yes. Yep. So many families will come to me though, because we have a headquarters in Oshkosh in Wisconsin, for the foundation, this lovely little building, and there are parents who will come to me. They'll come in and they'll say, Frankie, I had no idea that he was going to do it. I wish I would have said something when he did that. It's like, well, so now I tell people, then say something if you see something. Um, you got to say something. And sometimes, like, the signs are what we don't expect they're going to be. Sometimes they're actually acting happier than you've ever seen them, and people will say, he seemed so happy like the day before he did it. Um and that's actually that's a common thing that will happen, is that they think they've finished their problems, like they've come to the conclusion that this is what they're going to do, so now they look like they're suddenly happy. So so there, signs can be really hidden, but they're always there. There's always something, and the majority of kids or some adults, they will tell at least one person their decision that they're going to end their life. So there we say again is that if you hear something, you got to spread the word. You got to tell everybody. You got to stop it, because they're really not interested in actually dying. They're just interested in their pain stopping. So we just have to get to that. We okay, what is your pain? I'm going to help you. I'm not going down on that ship with you. Like I need to keep you safe. So um, you got to focus on the pain.
And I think we're at a place now where most schools have a variety of mental health professionals on staff. There's so many people that can help. And some kids might not know that. So you've got to point them in the right direction and make sure that they know there's people who care about them, people that want to help them. I mean, that's the most important thing with kids. I mean, even if you're just a teacher, like showing interest in whatever they're doing. If you have a relationship with a student and that student can tell, like, hey, this person cares about me, that can go a huge, long way.
Yes, to tell them like you deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can go a long way. Just giving to someone and not expecting anything in return, because we're always like, okay, what do you want? What do you want? um, and so that's where we really have to learn to be a good servant, is to show, you know, that we're willing to stop everything we're doing. I'm giving you my full attention. Everything, I'll put the phone down. I'll stop my emails. If you need help, I will help you, because your life is worth more than any work I need to get done. Like, this is a human life. Yeah.
That is another thing they talk to us about in the training. Like if a kid comes and kid is talking to you, right? You have to be focused on them. Like don't be distracted because that'll scare them away, right? If you're like half listening to them while, like you said, checking your emails, or if you change the subject, you do all these other things, like they may never open up to you again.
Absolutely. You get like one chance, and then you can wreck your credibility. They they need to know you care. That's all they want. And it's you need to show them that. Yes. And it's easy to. We're humans. We know how to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Ex-
Unless you're deaf.
Exactly.
No.
Right. Well,
Sorry.
there's other ways you can listen, right? Like if they're speaking
Yes.
sign language to you, right? Focus on that. Whatever you have to, however you listen, you just got to focus on that person.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah. Listening is so important. It's like goes all the way into eternity. It's like that we need to, it's a part of who we are in our relationship with the Lord. We need to be better listeners, because he's always whispering. um if God whispers, and he's God, you
Right.
know we're talking to humans.
And use all your senses, right? Don't just like listen with
Yeah,
your ears, like listen with your eyes, eye contact. Don't be fidgeting, messing with something else. Like there's I feel like some people think, oh, I can hear you, I'm listening. It's like, well, yeah, but are you gonna remember? Because you're not focused on me right now.
yeah, yeah. And if you want to get better, yeah, then Google the contemplative gaze. Pope John Paul II and Mother Teresa, they're all they're all masters of that. Just you can see their whole soul by just looking in their eyes. You could be able to do that and be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that's an
for sure.
accomplishment.
All good stuff. Why don't we end the episode? Kind of a random thing, but I saw on I think it was your Instagram that you played Mary in one of the Thirstings music videos, and I discovered them at Easter with their version of Jesus Christ has risen today. And then I started listening to some of their other stuff, and I was like, this is fantastic. It's the same music that you hear at mass in church, but it's an upbeat rock version, and it just sounds so awesome. So I just had to touch on that before we ended the episode.
I know the Thirsting. They are my favorite Catholic band right now. um, they're just Daniel, the singer, the main singer, he is just a really down to earth guy, and it was a pleasure. I was just so honored. He heard about me actually through Catholic speakers, and so when he called and asked if I could play the Blessed Mother, I mean, my first reaction was, "There's no way I can do that. Absolutely no way." And then I actually declined. I just did not feel like I was worthy. And then I had some a good spiritual director say, you're never too young or too small to be used by the Lord. And so then I went back to Daniel and I said, all right, I will do it. um, and it's just a really, really great music video. It makes you proud to be Catholic. Maybe it'll make you want to be Catholic if you're not one. But no matter what, it makes you proud to be a child of the Lord, of God. So these dancing priests and just celebrating Mama Mary, it's a celebration.
Yeah, I think it's a good their music is like a good way. I feel like some people are like, church music, it's boring, it's old, and like I can understand that viewpoint sometimes from younger people. So I think it's awesome when there's like a new, fresh take, look creative way to approach this in like a modern music. It's the same words, it's the same message that you hear in church, but it's just a little amped up for I mean, like you can really jam out to that. It's really rocking.
It's a rockin'. It's a banger. I mean, yeah, I'm just dancing to it. My little 2-year-old nephew loves it. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, but it's like he's seen it hundreds of times. He just loops the video. So
Yeah.
if we can get a 2-year-old singing a Marian hymn, I think we've done it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely good stuff. I encourage anyone to go check it out if they've never listened to this music. I think you'll be really surprised. I know I was. When I heard this, I was like, wait, I know that song. Wait, whoa, this is different.
Yes, yes, you can find it on so many platforms. YouTube, Salve Regina by The Thirsting, and they're always coming up with new music. I might be doing another music video, but that's a surprise.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Frankie, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing some of your music journey and talking about your faith and the importance of mental health and everything. And like I mentioned, if you want to talk with Frankie, Catholic Speakers Organization, and they've got a whole bunch of people who have done so many things, all walks of life on their speakers and former athletes and actors and actresses and all kinds of wonderful stuff. So CatholicSpeakersOrganization.com. But yeah, Frankie, appreciate you hopping on.
Alex, what a pleasure. 193. Let's go.
In the books, check. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.